Have you ever looked in the mirror and wondered when that older person started looking back at you? Maybe you felt scared about getting older because everyone says your best days are behind you. If you've ever worried about aging, you're not alone. Most people think getting older is bad, but what if I told you that Buddhism has been teaching something completely different for over 2,500 years? What if everything you've been told about getting older is wrong? Buddhist teachers have long known that aging isn't about losing what you had. It's about finding treasures you never knew were there. Those lines around your eyes aren't signs you're breaking down. They're proof of a life filled with real joy. That slower way you move now isn't weakness. It's wisdom learning to enjoy each moment. In Buddhism, there's an idea called change. It is natural. Everything changes, and this change is normal and good. When we fight getting older, we hurt. But when we accept it and learn from it, we find peace and even happiness we never had when young. Today, I want to share 7 simple Buddhist truths about getting older that will completely change how you see this journey. These aren't just nice ideas. They're deep truths that have brought peace to many people who walked this path before you. By the time we finish together, you'll understand why some of the happiest, most peaceful people are those who have learned to welcome getting older with grace, just like Buddha taught. Your dreams will change into something better, learning to let go. When you were young, you had big dreams. Maybe you wanted to be famous, rich, or travel the world. You put your heart into these dreams thinking they would make you happy. As years went by, some dreams came true, others didn't, and many became something totally different. This can feel sad at first, like you lost something important. But here's a beautiful secret Buddhism teaches. Your old dreams weren't meant to be your final goal. They were meant to teach you something much better than you could have imagined when young. Buddhism teaches about holding too tight. When we grab too tightly to our dreams, especially dreams about getting things for ourselves, we make ourselves hurt. But when dreams change, they make room for something precious, being happy with who you've actually become instead of who you thought you should be. The businessman who dreamed of beating everyone finds his greatest joy teaching his grandson to fish. The woman who wanted to be famous finds happiness helping friends through hard times. This isn't giving up. This is waking up to what really matters. There's a beautiful Buddhist story about an old gardener. When people came to see his garden, they expected rare flowers and perfect plants. Instead, he showed them a simple wooden bench. 40 years ago, he said with kind eyes, I dreamed of having the most amazing garden around. I wanted awards, fame, people coming far to see my work. He smiled softly. But now, my greatest joy is watching my neighbor sit on this bench, every evening after work, finding peace among these simple flowers. I never dreamed of bringing quiet comfort to someone's day, but it turns out that was always the most beautiful dream. This is the gentle magic of getting older through Buddhist eyes. Your dreams don't disappear. They get deeper. They change, from wanting things for yourself to wanting to help others. Buddha taught that real happiness comes not from getting what we want, but from wanting what we have. Your older self has learned this lesson beautifully. Maybe you once dreamed of writing famous books, and now you find joy writing loving letters to family. Maybe you wanted to be a professional musician, and now you bring music to people in nursing homes. Your dreams haven't died. They've grown into something more beautiful. So if you've been sad about dreams that didn't come true exactly as planned, pause for a moment. Look around at what has grown in their place. Notice how your heart has grown bigger, how your idea of success has gotten deeper. Your old dreams were beautiful, but they were small compared to what you can do now. They prepared you for something grander, a life of meaning that doesn't depend on applause, but on the quiet satisfaction of making the world a little gentler simply by being who you are. As Buddha taught, better than 1,000 empty words is one word that brings peace. 2, your body changes, but it brings you home to your true self. Your body has been your faithful friend for decades. It carried you through childhood fun, helped you through busy years of work and raising family. It adapted, healed, and kept, going through countless challenges. Now, as time naturally changes your body, you might notice differences that feel strange. You move more carefully, Your energy is different throughout the day. Sometimes this can feel like your body is letting you down. But what if these changes aren't problems? What if they're actually invitations, gentle calls from your body asking you to finally come home to your true self? In Buddhism, the body is seen as a teacher, not just a tool. Buddha himself taught that our body is one of our greatest guides. For many years, you may have treated your body like a machine designed to get things done. You pushed through tiredness, skipped meals, put off rest. Your body served you faithfully, but maybe you never really listened to its deeper wisdom. Buddha taught that our bodies are constantly teaching us that everything changes, and this change is natural and sacred. Now, as your body asks for more rest, it's not giving up on you, it's inviting you to discover real rest. When it moves slower, it's not failing you. It's teaching you to notice the world carefully. There's a beautiful story about an elderly woman who had been a busy worker most of her life. She'd prided herself on never taking sick days, working, through lunch, keeping a punishing schedule. When joint pain began to slow her hands, she first felt frustrated, but then something wonderful happened. The slower pace forced her to be more present during daily activities. Making tea became a meditation. Getting dressed became a gentle ritual of self-care. Walking to the mailbox became a chance to notice the changing seasons. My body didn't betray me, she realized one morning while slowly sipping perfectly brewed tea. It saved me. It rescued me from a life of rushing past all the beautiful moments I was too busy to see. This is the gift wrapped inside physical changes. They call you back to the present moment. Buddhism teaches that the present moment is the only place where real peace and happiness can be found. Your changing body is also teaching you compassion for yourself and others. Buddha taught that all beings suffer, and when you learn to treat your own physical limits with kindness rather than anger, you naturally extend that same gentle understanding to others. The energy you once spent fighting your body's natural rhythm can now be directed toward caring for yourself with the tenderness you've always deserved. Good food becomes an act of self-love rather than a chore. Movement becomes a celebration of what your body can still do. In Buddhism, there's a practice called loving kindness, where we send good wishes to ourselves and others. Your aging body is asking you to practice this loving kindness toward yourself every day. And here's something beautiful. When you stop fighting your body's natural rhythm and start honoring it, you often discover energy you didn't know existed. Buddha taught that suffering comes from fighting what is, and peace comes from accepting what is. Your body is changing, yes, but it's not abandoning you. It's bringing you home to a more real way of being. Listen to what your body is telling you. Your body has carried you faithfully for so many years. As Buddha said, to keep the body in good health is a duty. Otherwise we shall not be able to keep our minds strong and clear. Some friends drift away, and that creates space for deeper love. As you journey through life, you'll notice something bittersweet happening with friendships. Some friendships that once felt essential begin to feel more distant. People who were important to your daily life become occasional voices on the phone, then gentle memories. This natural drifting can at first feel like loss. You might wonder if you did something wrong or question whether those connections were ever as meaningful as they seemed. But there's something beautiful hidden in this natural change, something Buddhism helps us understand. In Buddhism, we learn about holding lightly, not caring less but holding things more gently, understanding that all relationships naturally change and flow. Just as gardens need cutting back to allow the healthiest plants to grow, your circle of friends naturally refines itself to make room for connections that truly feed your soul. Buddha taught that trying to keep relationships exactly as they were causes suffering. But when we accept the natural flow of friendships, we make space for deeper, more meaningful connections to grow. Think about a river flowing through different landscapes. Some stones sit in the riverbed for years, shaping the water's path, while others are carried downstream to where they're needed next. Neither is wrong. Both are part of the river's natural flow. The friendships that naturally fade often do so because you've both grown in different directions, and that's okay. You shared what you needed to share during that time of life. The laughter, support, and companionship you exchanged was real and valuable, even if it doesn't continue forever. Meanwhile, something wonderful happens in the space that's created. You begin to form different kinds of connections, deeper, more real relationships with people who appreciate you for who you are right now. There's a heartwarming story of an elderly man who felt sad that his old work friends rarely contacted him after retirement. He'd built his social life around shared complaints about work, and without that common ground, the relationships seemed to disappear. Feeling lonely, he began volunteering at a local literacy center. There, he met other volunteers who shared his genuine interests: books, teaching, helping others learn. These new friendships were different. They were based on shared values rather than shared circumstances, on who he was rather than what he did. I realize now, he reflected, that I was trying to water dead plants instead of planting new seeds. My old friendships served their purpose beautifully, but these new ones feed my soul in ways I never expected. When you're no longer bound by your job or the demands of raising children, you become free to seek out people who truly understand your real self. Buddhism teaches us about spiritual community, the group of people who support each other on the path of growth. As you get older, your spiritual community naturally evolves to include people who truly understand and support who you're becoming. The friends who remain throughout this natural change often become treasures beyond measure. These are people who love you not for what you can do for them, but simply for who you are. You also discover that new friendships are possible at any age. Some of the most meaningful connections happen between people who meet later in life, when they're both free to be completely themselves. These friendships often have a special quality, a recognition of kindred spirits who understand life's complexities. So when you notice certain friendships naturally fading, try not to take it personally or hold on too tightly to what was. Instead, see it as life-making space for connections that will truly nourish you. Your looks change, and you discover your true beauty. There comes a time when the mirror becomes a storyteller, showing tales of laughter in the lines around your eyes, stories of concern in the furrows of your brow, and histories of countless expressions that have shaped your face. Your hair carries silver threads like highlights of wisdom, and your hands bear gentle marks of all the love they've given. Our world teaches us to see these changes as flaws to hide, problems to solve, or battles to fight. We're surrounded by messages that say youth equals beauty and aging equals decline. But what if we've been looking at this backwards? In Buddhism, there is deep wisdom about the nature of true beauty. Buddha taught that outside beauty is temporary, and that real beauty comes from inner peace, compassion, and wisdom. When we understand this, we can see changes in our appearance not as loss, but as the emergence of something far more precious. When you were younger, much of your beauty was given to you. Smooth skin, bright eyes, effortless vitality. It was lovely, but it wasn't uniquely yours. Everyone young has some version of that fresh beauty. But the beauty that develops with age, that's entirely your own creation. Every line on your face is painted by your unique experiences. Those laugh lines speak of countless moments of joy shared with others. The gentle creases around your eyes tell stories of compassion, all the times you've looked with love upon children, grandchildren, friends, and even strangers. There's a touching story of a grandmother who was feeling self-conscious about her appearance before a family reunion. Her teenage granddaughter, trying to be helpful, offered to do her makeup to make her look younger. The grandmother agreed, and after the makeover, she looked in the mirror and felt somehow diminished. "You know what, sweetheart?" she said gently. "I appreciate your kindness, but I think I'd rather look like myself. These wrinkles are proof that I've had a life full of smiles. This gray hair shows I've been blessed with many years. These hands have held babies and soothed tears and prepared countless meals with love. I don't want to hide that story. I want to wear it proudly." Her granddaughter later said it was one of the most beautiful moments she'd ever witnessed, watching her grandmother choose to embrace her real appearance with such grace and self-acceptance. When you cease trying to look like someone else, you begin to radiate the irreplaceable beauty of being completely comfortable in your own skin. Buddha taught about the middle way, not going to extremes but finding balance. This applies to how we care for our appearance too. We can take care of ourselves and look our best, while also accepting the natural changes that come with time. The most captivating elderly people aren't those who look youngest. They're those who wear their age like a favorite piece of jewelry, with pride and pleasure. They understand that their beauty now comes not from perfect features, but from genuine presence, not from flawless skin, but from warmth in their eyes. Buddhist teaching tells us that all things change, including our physical appearance. When we accept this truth instead of fighting it, we find peace. Your evolving appearance is also teaching you about what beauty really means. It's helping you see beyond surface appearances in others, to appreciate the stories written in every face, the strength evident in every form, the unique radiance that comes from every life fully lived. When you embrace your changing appearance, you give others permission to do the same. You become an example of someone who has found peace with the natural process of aging, and that peace is genuinely beautiful to witness. The mirror isn't showing you someone losing their beauty, it's showing you someone growing into their most real and distinctive beauty. Every change reflects the person you've become through decades of loving, learning, and growing. Your appearance is evolving into something uniquely and wonderfully you, and when you learn to see it that way, you'll discover that you've never been more beautiful than you are right now. You will experience more goodbyes, but each one will make your love bigger. As the years collect, you will find yourself saying goodbye more often. Parents who shaped your world will complete their earthly journey. Maybe brothers and sisters who knew your childhood stories will close their chapters before yours is finished. Each farewell carries its own weight of sorrow. The empty chair at family gatherings speaks volumes in its silence. The phone that no longer rings with that familiar voice leaves an echo in your heart. This increasing frequency of loss might seem like getting older's cruelest gift. But within these goodbyes lies one of life's most profound lessons, one that Buddhism has taught for centuries. Each loss doesn't make your capacity for love smaller. It actually expands it in ways that are mysterious and beautiful. Buddhism teaches us about the nature of love. Buddha showed us that love itself is eternal, but our attachments to how love should look or who should be here to receive it, these cause suffering. When we learn to love without clinging, something beautiful happens. When someone you love passes away, something remarkable occurs. All the love you carried for that person doesn't disappear, it transforms. It becomes a warm presence in your heart, a guiding voice in your decisions, a gentle influence on how you treat others. The love remains, but now it flows more freely to everyone around you. There's a beautiful story of an elderly woman whose husband of 50 years passed away peacefully in his sleep. Friends worried about how she would cope with loneliness, expecting to find her withdrawn and despairing. Instead, they discovered her volunteering at the local hospital, offering comfort to families facing their own difficult goodbyes. When asked how she found strength to help others when her own heart was grieving, she smiled through tears. "My husband spent 50 years teaching me how to love deeply," she said. "Now I understand that the best way to honor that love is to share it with others who need it. He's not gone, he's multiplied. Every time I comfort someone else's sorrow, his love is still at work in the world." This is the beautiful mystery of love and loss that Buddhism reveals. When you lose someone you love, you don't lose the love itself. Instead, that love becomes part of your own heart's capacity. Buddha taught about each loss you experience increases your compassion, making you more able to offer comfort to others who are hurting. You also begin to understand that every hello becomes more precious because you know it won't last forever. This awareness doesn't make you sad, it makes you grateful. It encourages you to listen more carefully, hug more freely, and appreciate more fully the gift of each person's presence in your life. You will worry less about others' opinions and discover the freedom of real living. Do you remember how much energy you used to spend wondering what other people thought of you? There was a time when other people's opinions felt like the most important thing in the world. You shaped your choices around what would make you look successful and socially acceptable. You said yes when you wanted to say no, smiled when you felt like crying. But something beautiful happens as you get older. The opinions of others begin to matter less, and your own inner voice begins to matter more. It's not that you become rude, quite the opposite. You become more genuinely kind because you're no longer performing kindness for approval. Buddhism has always taught about the freedom that comes from not being attached to others' opinions. Buddha himself faced criticism and praise throughout his teaching, but he remained centered in his own understanding of truth and compassion. You also discover that the people whose opinions truly matter, your real friends and loving family members, appreciate your realness far more than any performance ever impressed them. The people who are put off by your genuine self weren't really your people anyway. The freedom from others' opinions also allows you to explore interests you might have avoided when you were more concerned about appearance. You might take up painting even though you're not artistic. You might join a hiking group even though you're not the fastest walker. When you're not constantly worried about your own image, you have more mental and emotional energy to focus on actually helping and caring for others. You begin to understand that most people are too busy worrying about their own lives to spend much time judging yours, and the few who do judge, their opinions say much more about them than they do about you. Buddhist wisdom teaches us about the ego and how much energy we waste trying to protect and promote it. As you age, you naturally become less invested in your ego and more connected to your true self, the part of you that doesn't need others' approval to know its worth. Your time will feel more special. There comes a moment in life when you suddenly understand that time isn't endless. When you were younger, time felt infinite. You could waste entire weekends, put off important conversations, and delay meaningful experiences because you assumed there would always be more time later. You spent hours on activities that didn't fulfill you, with people who didn't appreciate you. But as you age, something beautiful happens. Time becomes precious in the way that rare gems are precious, not because it's running out, but because you finally understand its true value. Every sunrise becomes a gift to witness. Every conversation with someone you love becomes an opportunity to treasure. This new relationship with time transforms everything. You become incredibly selective about how you spend your hours, not because you're running out of them, but because you've finally learned which activities truly nourish your soul and which ones merely fill space. There's a touching story of an elderly man who was asked why he seemed so content despite having a terminal diagnosis. He thought for a moment, then said, "For 70 years, I thought I had all the time in the world, so I wasted most of it. Now I know exactly how much time I have left, and I'm finally spending it on what actually matters. I've never been happier." He explained that he'd stopped watching television news that only made him anxious, stopped attending social events that felt like obligations, and stopped having conversations that went nowhere. Instead, he spent time teaching his grandson to fish, writing letters to old friends, and sitting quietly in his garden watching birds. This is the gift of understanding time's preciousness. It makes you wise about how to spend it. You learn to say no to requests that don't align with your values or bring joy to your life. You also develop an almost magical ability to be present in moments that matter. When your grandchild wants to tell you a story, you give them your full attention instead of thinking about your to-do list. When you're having dinner with a friend, you savor both the food and the conversation. The preciousness of time also teaches you about the beauty of doing nothing, not in a lazy way, but in a mindful way. You learn to appreciate quiet moments, self-reflection, peaceful walks without destinations, and unhurried conversations. Buddha often spoke about meditation as valuable uses of time. These aren't wasted moments, but some of the most important moments, times when you connect with your deeper self and find peace that no external activity can provide. Your relationship with time also becomes less anxious and more accepting. You stop rushing toward some imaginary future when life will be perfect, and you start appreciating the imperfect beauty of right now. You realize that the present moment is the only time you actually have, and it's enough. This wisdom about time is perhaps one of getting older's greatest teachings. It shows you that a life well lived isn't measured by how much time you had, but by how consciously you lived the time you were given. Now, you've discovered something remarkable. Getting older isn't about losing everything you once cherished. It's about discovering gifts you never knew existed, developing abilities you never thought possible, and finding meaning in places you never thought to look. Through the lens of Buddhist wisdom, we can see that aging is not decline, it's awakening. It's the gradual shedding of illusions that kept us suffering when we were younger, and the embracing of truths that bring lasting peace and joy. Your dreams haven't died, they've transformed into something more beautiful, teaching you the Buddhist principle of letting go. Your changing body isn't betraying you, it's calling you home to a more real way of being, showing you the wisdom of accepting change. The natural evolution of friendships isn't abandonment, it's making space for deeper, more meaningful connections. Your evolving appearance isn't decline, it's the emergence of your most distinctive beauty, reflecting the Buddhist understanding. That true beauty comes from inner peace and wisdom. The increasing goodbyes aren't just loss, they're expanding your capacity to love more fully. Your growing freedom from others' opinions isn't selfishness, it's the liberation that comes from knowing your true worth doesn't depend on external validation. These aren't consolation prizes for getting older. These are the actual prizes, gifts that only come with accumulated years, earned wisdom and the courage to embrace change with grace rather than resistance. Buddha taught that suffering comes from attachment, from fighting against the natural flow of life. When we apply this wisdom to aging, we discover that getting older becomes not a source of suffering but a path to freedom. You are not aging out of relevance, you are aging into wisdom. You are not losing your value, you are discovering what your true value has always been. You are not approaching the end of your story, you are entering chapters that your younger self could never have written. The world may celebrate youth, but you have something far more precious, the hard-won knowledge of how to find joy in simple moments, peace in uncertainty, and beauty in impermanence. You understand that happiness comes not from having perfect circumstances, but from appreciating whatever circumstances you have. Every line on your face tells a story worth reading. Every gray hair represents a lesson learned through direct experience. Every gentle limitation invites you to discover new strengths and deeper sources of contentment. You have earned the right to be exactly who you are, without apology or explanation. Buddha taught that the goal of life is not to avoid suffering, but to understand it so deeply that we transform it into wisdom and compassion. Your journey through the years has been exactly this transformation. Your greatest chapters aren't behind you, they're being written right now, in this very moment, by the wise, loving, beautifully aged person you've become. This is your time to shine, not with the bright flash of youth, but with the warm, steady glow of a life well lived and a heart that has learned the true secrets of contentment. In Buddhist understanding, this radiance is your Buddha nature, the inherent wisdom and compassion that was always within you, but has now been polished to a shine through years of experience and growth. If this message touched your heart, I would love to hear from you in the comments below. Share your thoughts about these simple Buddhist truths of aging. What wisdom have you discovered on your own journey that might help someone else walking this path? And if you found value in this message, please consider sharing it with others who might need to hear these words. Subscribe to our channel for more insights on finding peace, purpose, and joy in every season of life, guided by ancient wisdom that remains as relevant today as it was 2,500 years ago. Remember, getting older is not the end of your story. It's the beginning of your most beautiful chapters. Through Buddhist eyes, you are not growing older. You are growing deeper, wiser, more compassionate, and more free. And in that growth lies a beauty that no amount of youth could ever match. See you in the next video.